Welcome everyone to another video. This is going to be a shorter one. We're going to respond to a Muslim by the name of Ghazawi. His YouTube channel name is Zaid G. Just shorten it. And he's going to give a under 2 minutes case for Jesus not being God. So we're gonna do this just very quickly. It won't take us too long.
I'd like to present to you the proof that Jesus is not God in less than 2 minutes. Point number one. More than 1.5 billion people, i.e. Christians, believe that Jesus is God or the Son of God, and that his mother Mary has godly qualities. Point number two. It is historically proven that Jesus and his mother used to eat food. Point number three. How can God or the Son of God or a being having godly qualities depend on something created like food to stay alive? Now, if you ponder upon this, and you are truthful to yourself and logical, then you will conclude that Jesus and his mother Mary were 100% human. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.
So that's it. That was literally not even a minute. It was less than a minute, you can say, because the first 10 seconds were like a not even a clip. So let's go to the Quran really quick. I'm gonna show you why he's reasoning like this. The reason he's using this kind of reasoning is because this is what the Quran says. Surah chapter 5, verse 75. I did one take of this video. That's why I have these tabs open. Otherwise, I would have just opened them up right now. And I completely messed up. So we're just going through this again. At least I'm going through it again. It says here, the Messiah, the son of Mary, was no more than a messenger. Many messengers had come and gone before him. His mother was a woman of truth. They both ate food. See how we make the signs clear to them, yet see how they are deluded from the truth. So I find this to be one of the problematic verses in the Quran, personally, because number one, it says they both ate food, and that's the entire argument against Jesus not being God, that he ate food. And if you knew anything about the Trinity, you would know the simple fact that as Christians, we believe that Jesus is truly God and truly man. So Jesus can do things that a man can do, like he asked at the end there. We'll get to his question. Jesus can do things that men can do, and he can do things that only God can do. And I'll prove that from the scriptures. So it's one of the issues I have with this verse is that it makes a very bad argument against a very, very bad reason to reject Jesus being God. The other issue I have with this verse is that it says, oh, look, see, we make the signs clear to them, yet see how they are deluded from the truth. So this is not only does the Quran make a bad argument, now it doubles down and says this is a clear sign to them. But we have plenty of statements from Jesus that indicate that he's God. That's why we have these people in history believing that. And that's how they've always addressed it, that Jesus is truly God and truly man. He does things with limitation, and then he does things as God. So, anyways, to answer his question, why is Jesus? How can an eternal being, a godlike being, be dependent upon his creation? The answer is if he enters his creation, right? Then he can become dependent in those ways, according to his nature that he takes on that would have dependent things like a human nature. So we're gonna go over some. Well, before I go to these verses, let's go to Mark chapter 2. So we're gonna finish off with this. We're gonna just go through these passages, and then call it right there. So this is an example of Jesus doing a godlike thing, something only God can do. This is one example, right? So we have here Mark chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. And so verses 1 to 4 just kind of describe like this paralytic being lowered to the roof. In verse 5, when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, son, your sins are forgiven you. So because of the faith of these people, the paralytic sins were forgiven. Now, some people might say, well, this is Jesus just declaring forgiveness of sins. Okay, let's keep reading and we'll see if that holds up to the context of the passage. Verses 6 to 7, and some of the scribes were sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, why does this man speak blasphemies like this? Who can forgive sins but God alone? Verse 8, but immediately when Jesus perceived in his spirit that they reasoned thus within themselves, he said to them, so let's just analyze a few things. Number one, the Pharisees also, now obviously the Pharisees were wrong about a lot of things, but I think this is something they were right about, and we're going to go to the Old Testament to prove it. They also understood that only God can forgive sins. And notice also Jesus is knowing their hearts, what they're saying. This lines up with a lot of Old Testament language about Jesus, God knowing the hearts of men and things like that. So Jesus, it's a very godlike language for Jesus to perceive in himself that they're reasoning in their hearts instead of saying things out loud. But anyways, let's go to verse 9. Which is easier to say to the paralytic, your sins are forgiven you, or to say, arise, take up your bed, and walk? Verse 10, but that you may know that the Son of Man has power on earth to forgive sins. So this is not just declaring forgiveness of sins. This is power on earth. This is God-like power. No one but God can do this. He said to the paralytic, I say to you, arise, take up your bed, and go to your house. Immediately he rose, took up the bed, and went out in the presence of them all. So they were all amazed and glorified God, saying, we never saw anything like this. And then let's go to Micah 7:18, which affirms what I was saying. Micah 7:18. Who is God like you, pardoning iniquity? So, actually, let me highlight this too. This is also part of the passage. So, wait a minute, Micah. But Jesus pardoned iniquity. He pardoned the iniquity of the paralytic. So Jesus is like God then, right? Yeah, he is, because he is God in the flesh. He's the second person of the Trinity, and thus he can say something like that because he is truly God. He can do man-like things because he's truly man, and he can do God-like things because he is truly God. And let's go to now. And we're going to go just a few passages in John. The disciples understood Jesus being truly God and truly man. First of all, in the prologue, John, the author, says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So just a quick explanation here. This first part here, this first clause, talks about the Word being eternal. In the beginning was the Word. The word was in Greek ein. It does not indicate a beginning point. It's an imperfect indicative. So the Word exists indefinitely for a certain point. So since the word ein does not indicate a beginning point, therefore, in the beginning, the Word already was. Not that he came into being. He already was. Because notice the word ein in this passage actually is contrasted with the Greek word egeneto, which means to come to be. So the Word eternally exists. And the Word was with God. This is the Father. He's with the Father. The word, the cross-tantion, it's with the Father. It's definite. The definite article indicates it's the Father. So he's with the Father. And the Word was God. Not that he was the Father, because the word theos in the Greek here does not have the definite article. This is a linking verb phrase. Excuse me, not a predicate. This is a predicate nominative, God, and it's a linking verb phrase. So the Word was God. He's not the Father. He is God by nature. This is a qualitative statement. I believe it's called a predicate sentence. You can also say. So the term God, being God, is predicated of the Word. So you can say that the Word is God by nature. Not that he's the Father, but that he possesses deity. Let's go down to verse 14. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. So the Word became a man. He became flesh. He dwelt among us as a man. So the author of John, son of Zebedee, the disciple John, understood this and wrote this right from this prologue. And the disciples themselves understood this. Look at John chapter 4, 27 to 33. They understood Jesus was a man. They didn't deny that. And at this point, his disciples came and they marveled at that, talked to the woman, yet no one said, what do you seek? Or why are you talking with her? The woman then left her water pot, went away into the city, and said to the men, come see a man who told me all things that I ever did. Could this be the Christ? Then they went out of the city and came to him. In the meantime, his disciples urged him, saying, Rabbi, eat. They knew he was a man and needed to eat. But he said to them, I have food to eat which you do not know. It's a spiritual meaning there. Verse 33, therefore the disciples said to one another, has anyone brought him anything to eat? They knew that Jesus needed to eat. They knew that. I'm not saying that they didn't believe he was a man. He absolutely is a man. Yes, that's true. But he's also God, as we see here in John chapter 16, verses 28 to 31. I came forth from the Father, and I have come into the world. Again, I leave the world and go to the Father. His disciples said to him, see, now you're speaking plainly and using no figure of speech. So they're saying he's speaking literally, that he literally came down from the Father to come into the world. And then again, he's going to leave the world and go to the Father. They're saying he's speaking literally. Jesus literally went back to the Father. So if we're going to interpret this accurately, therefore, he also literally came down to the world. So the disciples understood that Jesus became a man. As the eternal God, he became a man. Because notice what else they say. Now we are sure that you know all things. This is a statement of deity, omniscience, knowing all things. And no need that anyone should question you. By this we believe that you came forth from God. And Jesus answered them, do you now believe? So if there's any doubt of whether all this is proof of his deity, Jesus affirms it all by saying, do you now believe? So that is it. Not a super long video, just a quick response to this Muslim. So yes, Jesus is God. Him eating does not prove he's not God. That is not a valid argument against his deity, because we know he's truly God and truly man. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for watching. With that being said, God bless you all and goodbye.